We're here at the Ubuntu booth at CES in Las Vegas, and we got Jono here, who's going to talk about the Ubuntu smartphone.
Yeah. So basically, we started out with Ubuntu in 2004, and we brought out the Ubuntu desktop. And the Ubuntu desktop was one piece of a wider convergence story that we want to tell, which is the goal here is to create a single ubiquitous operating system that runs on any device you want to run it on. So we started out with Ubuntu on the desktop, and then we took Ubuntu to the cloud. So Ubuntu is the most popular desktop Linux operating system. It's the most popular operating system on the cloud. And then we started with the device strategy a year ago, pretty much around CES last year. And we released Ubuntu for the TV. So you have a TV interface to Ubuntu, and then as well as Ubuntu running for Android. So the idea is that you can have an Android phone, and then when you dock it, you get a full Ubuntu desktop. The commonality across all of these different devices is the user experience and the focus on content and the focus on a personal experience in how people use Ubuntu. And then on January the 2nd, we released the Ubuntu phone, which is this. And this is just another step towards that convergence story. So I'll give you a quick demo of how it works.
Please.
So we went into building the phone to solve a number of common problems that we saw with existing phones, such as Android or iOS. One of the problems that we saw there was that they were not particularly personal operating systems. So you use Android. If you want to get to your music, you have to load your music application. If you want to get to your videos, you have to load your videos app. It was a vessel in which you would load different applications and access content in different ways. When you switch on the screen with the Ubuntu phone, you see this welcome screen, and this is not a lock screen. The goal of this is that it's a personal reflection on what's going on in your life. I've received 14 tweets, or I've got 3 unlistened to voice messages, or I've received a text message, or whatever it might be. You can see it on the screen. And this is an artist reflection as well, so this is different for everyone who uses the phone. Now, part of the goal here was we wanted to make Ubuntu usable on phones with no hardware buttons, other than a power button. So you can dedicate the whole phone to the screen. So what we've done to get around those buttons is each of the edges has a very distinctive function. So the left edge, as an example, shows you the most common applications that you use. Most people tend to use 3 or 5 applications on a daily basis: web browser, email, probably Angry Birds as well. So what we can do is we can slide out from the left and we can see these different applications. And then at the bottom you can see we've got this Ubuntu button, and this takes us to our home screen. And this is an amalgamation of content across a variety of different types. We can see our frequently used applications, some missed calls. We can see recommended movies, some music, some recommended stores. The point here is that you don't have to load up a music application to get to your music. You don't have to load up a video application to get to your videos. It's built right into the It's built right into the phone UI. So this provides an overview of that content, and this content is customized towards you. So if you watch a lot of comedy movies, you'll see a lot of comedy movies recommended in here. And then what we can do is we can slide left and right, and we can see other views of this type of content. So we can see our apps view. This shows our frequently used applications, installed applications, and then also apps available to download. So as an example, we have this search function at the top. You could search for example, Angry Birds, and it would display all of the apps that match that search term, and it'd show the ones that aren't installed down here in the applications to download section. And then you could click it, and you could tap it, and you could download it without ever even having to load a software manager. So it's a pretty neat way of doing things. So we have a few different views here. We've got people, music, we have a videos view. Now, one of the goals here was to make a really integrated web apps experience. One of the problems we found with the desktop was that people would they'd use native applications in Ubuntu, but then they'd use websites like Google Calendar or whatever else. But these websites are trapped inside their browser tabs. So part of the goal that we had here was to break them out of those browser tabs and integrate them into the desktop. So as an example, something like Google Calendar, you don't want to have to go to a browser tab to see your calendar. You want to integrate with your system calendar. You want to control your music using the music menu on the top in Ubuntu. We have the same approach with the phone as well. So if I slide out actually what I'll do is I'll show you the peoples. If I look at my list of people here, this is essentially like an address book. If I look at Florian, you can see, as an example, his latest Facebook tweet his latest Facebook message rather, appears integrated into the address book, and then we can click on this, or tap on it rather, and then here is where we can respond to that message. It's a little slow. The network's been up all. Good luck uploading this to YouTube, by the way. So it provides us really native integration. So as an example, the top of the screen, hang on, we have a big list of messages. So whether it's text messages or email or social media or your phone calls, whatever else, that all appears in this message view. So it's all in one place as opposed to having to load up different apps. Now we also have native apps as well. So if I slide from the left, I'm going to go to the gallery. This provides a day-by-day breakdown of all the photos and videos that you've got on your phone. This is a native application that's running on the phone. So for example, we can spin through them like this. We could load one. We can spin through them. And then the bottom edge, this is for accessing functionality for each application that you're using. So if we slide up here, you can then see we have buttons that relate to this particular view. So we can, for example, share it on Facebook.
Just got two questions. The first one's about the phone and having it available for, I guess, developers, if they can do anything on the phone. So
as part of getting the phone platform together, we obviously did a lot of thinking about how developers write content for it. And there's essentially a few different target audiences that we wanted to go after. So first of all, this notion of really tightly integrated web applications. So you can write applications using HTML5 as an example. You can integrate them really nicely into the desktop. And then people writing native apps. We picked QML, which is part of the Qt toolkit, as a means for writing applications. The thing that's nice about that is that QML is a really powerful and sleek way of writing beautiful interfaces. And then we created a set of mobile phone components that run on top of QML, which is akin to a widget toolkit sort of thing. So the gallery application that I showed you, that uses QML with the widget components. And then we also have full support for OpenGL. So if someone wants to, if they want to have a build for their game, as an example, then that'll run on the phone as well.
Oh, great, cool. And last question, price and availability for this phone.
So right now, this is a software platform that we're presenting at CES. So the reason why we're here is to obviously show it off, but to also talk with handset manufacturers and operators so they can preload it on their phones. So we really have essentially two offerings when it comes to phones. You can either have Ubuntu running on the phone, Ubuntu running on a smartphone, it would replace something like Android. But then we also have for super phones the idea of Ubuntu on Android, which is Android running on the phone or Ubuntu phone, and then when you dock it, it boots a full Ubuntu desktop. So the price and availability is really going to depend on when we start seeing the first phones appearing, but we're expecting them to be in late 2013, and the price should be pretty much what you'd expect for a typical cell phone.
Well, thank you, Jono.
Hey, thank you. Appreciate the time.